I'm John Cooper. We're going to be working on the 2021 Alabama High School All-State Clarinet Technical Study today. This is taken from the Rose 32 Etudes, number 6. It's a very straightforward technical etude. You've got to have accurate notes, steady rhythm, and most importantly, I believe, good articulations. The articulation patterns that vary greatly in this piece are what add interest and life to this piece, so it's very important that you do that. I've already prepared a preparatory exercise that doesn't really work on this etude, but gives you some ways to work on your articulation, especially the articulation patterns that are found in this exercise. So I'd encourage you to stop and check that out first before you go on and work on this. This piece divides easily into 4 sections, so we'll be working on it like that. We're also going to do 2 other things that I want to really encourage you to do as you begin working on it. First, go slow. We're going to go at about a quarter note equals 60 beats per minute, a very slow tempo. Second thing is break it into chunks. I'm going to be doing it in 2-measure chunks for the most part, except for one spot. I would encourage you to do that. That gives you time between those chunks to reflect how well you're doing each articulation. The first section of this piece goes from measure 1 down to the rest in measure 19. There's several things in this you need to pay particular attention to. At first, in measure 6, you have 2 F sharps. In between those F sharps is an E sharp, which is inharmonic to an F natural. I would recommend that you finger both of those F sharps chromatically. Next thing, remember when you get to measure 12 that both the first note and the last note are D sharps, sharps to carry through the measure. Same thing in measure 14, except this time it's C sharps. And then finally in this section, measure 17, you have another F sharp followed by an F natural. I would encourage you to finger that F sharp chromatically as well. So let's think about the first section. The second section of this etude goes from measure 20 down to measure 31. This is the repeated section. Of course, we know we don't do the repeated section for the All-State audition. You'll notice that for the most part, the articulation pattern is more consistent in this section, but there are still a couple of things you need to keep in mind. The first one of those is in measure 25. The 4th note is a C sharp, followed by a 3rd space C sharp, which is the 5th note. Because of that, you must make sure that that 3rd space C sharp is fingered with your right pinky. Then I would also encourage you to really pay particularly close attention in the last 2 measures to the articulation, because that is one of the spots that the articulation changes. Make sure that you remember that sharps carry throughout the measure all the way through this section. section of this etude begins in 32 right after the repeat sign and then goes down to measure 51 where you have another whole measure of rest. In some respects, this section is like the first section. It has some of the same issues. In measure 37, you have the two F sharps with the E sharp in between. Again, finger those chromatically, both of the F sharps chromatically. Measure 44, you'll want to make sure that the first and last note are both D sharps. And then in measure 46, you have the two C sharps again. And in 49, you have the F sharp followed by an F natural where you will want to make sure that the F sharp is fingered chromatically. Section 3. Finally, section 4 is starting in measure 52 and going all the way down to the end of the piece. First thing is a problem that we've already encountered in measure 52. We have those two F sharps with the E sharp fingered in between. Finger the F sharps chromatically just like you have all the way through the exercise. Then measure 56, you'll notice that the first note is a C natural. It has a courtesy C natural sign before it. The bar line would cancel any sharps previously, but that's just a courtesy natural so that you'll remember that the next note is a D sharp. Unless you have one of those instruments that has a left pinky D sharp E flat key, you'll need to make sure that you finger the C natural with your left pinky so that you can hit the D sharp with your right pinky. In measure 61, there is an unusual spot, one that I want you to pay particular attention to. You have two B naturals in that measure with an A sharp, which is inharmonic, to a B flat in between them. Normally, we would finger both of those B naturals chromatically. However, because the note after the second B natural is a G, it can be difficult to move from the chromatic fingering for a B natural to the G smoothly and quickly. I would recommend that you finger the first B natural chromatically, and then for the second B natural, you flip over to the regular fingering so that you can then go quickly to the G. Now, some people would probably suggest otherwise because you would be clipping that second B natural short anyway, and because the G is staccato. But it's my judgment, because of the tempo that you're eventually going to want to push this to, that you flip that to the regular fingering the second time. I would make sure that you're fingering the first B natural chromatically. It's only the second B natural that you want to finger the regular way. Section 4. as you prepare for your All-State auditions. Remember, go slow at first. Take it in small segments and really think about how your articulations are sounding. How accurate are you being? You want more video help? You might want to like, subscribe, and click on the bell. I'll be preparing other All-State help auditions. If you've got any questions, you can comment or shoot me an email. Good luck.